Hi, you're with India Post Live, India's first online news conversation web TV. I'm Ishan Russell, and India Post Live is, of course, a forum where you too can participate in this conversation. Just go to our website, indiapostlive.com, and log in and post your comments over there. You can also use Twitter, hashtag India Post Live to your tweets, or use our Twitter handle at India Post Live. All right, today we are talking about a subject that is almost a complete takeover. I mean, that's what many are calling it. How big can this company really grow? Yes, we're talking about Reliance, and we're talking about Reliance Money's investment in the State Bank of India. Yes, you heard it right, the State Bank of India and Reliance together in one sentence. Well, what has really happened in the business world? First, let's take you through the story.
In what is considered the mother of all business correspondent agreements, Reliance Money has been handed over dynamic control over a variety of operations of SBI, India's premier nationalized bank with 17,000 branches. The deal authorizes Reliance Money to identify borrowers, collect, process and submit loan applications, promote credit groups, take up post-sanction monitoring, follow-up and recovery. Reliance Money would also collect small value deposits, sell microinsurance, mutual fund and pension products, and receive and deliver small value remittances. In short, do almost everything for the country's largest bank with a history of over 200 years. This decision is surely going to raise eyebrows and bring to the fore the issue of the proximity between corporates and our political system.
All right, so is it just straight good business or is it a somewhat crony capitalism? Well, that's what social media seems to be suggesting. So we'll be discussing all that with Paranjoy Gua Thakurta. He's an economist, a renowned journalist, somebody who I've looked up for the length of my career. Thanks very much for coming into the show, Paranjoy. Also,
Thank you.
Asha Khosa is a resident expert as far as matters of business and politics are concerned. And we'll be, of course, waiting for you to come into this conversation as well. You can join in via Skype or Google Hangout. But meanwhile, on Skype, we have with us KV Prasad. He is a banking union employee. Sorry, he's a bank employee and is also part of a trade union. He's joining us from Kochi. But Paranjoy, I'll start with you. A lot of people saying a lot of things about this entire deal. How straight is it? I mean, the SBI Reliance Money deal.
Very honestly, we know very little about this deal. And to the best of my knowledge, the media seems to have ignored it. I mean, there's been one article that appeared in the Hindu business line on the 29th of April by Vincent Kurian, and it's come from Trivandrum, Thiruvananthapuram, where he talks about how the State Bank of India has signed up with Reliance Money Infrastructure, which is part of the Reliance Anil Dhirubhai Ambani Group, in this business correspondent deal. Now, all I can say that other than this particular news report, very little is known about it. I would have thought by now other newspapers, other publications would have picked it up, but so far very little has been known.
So, but I'll just add a little to that. What I have seen in newspapers and what I've been reading online is a lot of stories have come out that public sector banks need money from private companies coming in. So those kind of stories are coming out, especially from media houses that are closer to the corporate lobby.
Okay.
So
Now, I think we need to first understand what is a banking correspondent. What is a banking correspondent of a bank, and why is it supposed to be so critical for financial inclusion?
Right.
Whenever you talk about, say, the Aadhaar card, you talk about so many things. One of the points you make that one of the reasons why, say, the Aadhaar card or many other schemes have not been able to make the kind of headway is because a very substantial portion of India's population do not have banking facilities. Even if they save money, they'll keep it under the pillow, they'll keep it in a matka and store it underground or put it somewhere else. But the point is, now again, nobody has an exact figure, but it is believed that about 40% of India's population do not have access to banking facilities. This country is grossly underbanked, and there are large parts, especially the remote areas, the rural areas, where people are deprived of banking facilities. As a result of which, all kinds of schemes have been started, all in the name of financial inclusion, and these include microfinance schemes, self-help groups, a whole lot of things to bring larger sections of India's population into the banking network. Now, I would say that so far the progress that has been made has been very slow, has been made very halting. The whole idea of a banking correspondent or the business correspondent of a bank is akin to what you might say is a barefoot doctor. So you have a barefoot banker. You have a person with, say, a handheld device, which is mobile, which is connected mobile. And this person is supposed to, actually, the bank is supposed to come to you instead of you going to the bank. Because in many rural areas and many remote areas, the nearest bank branch is located quite a long distance away. So people have to walk for many kilometers. So the whole idea is that you have the bank come to you instead of you going to the bank. But this scheme has not taken off for a variety of reasons, including poor service delivery, including the inability to arrive at a good commission structure. Now, this whole deal between Reliance Money Infrastructure and the Anil Ambani Group, there's a lot that remains to be, understood about this banking system. And there are many things which are very unusual, and I've not been able to understand this. Now, the deal was supposed to have been concluded on the 25th of February, but made effective with retrospective effect from the 5th of October. Now, why?
Have they already been working?
No, why? So I don't know. What was the kind of a bidding process that resulted in Reliance being selected? We had heard that State Bank of India had tied up with Wakrange Software, another organization called Little World, but all of this is kind of new. So all of us, we are trying to understand why is SBI, why the State Bank of India, India's largest bank, it's a huge bank. It has assets of 338 billion US dollars, or the equivalent, as you have mentioned, 17,000 branches, over 220,000 employees. Why would they want to tie up with Reliance or the group or Reliance Money Infrastructure to provide all these so-called no-frills bank, savings bank account, through kiosk banking models, these home loans against property? I mean, why? I can understand why the Reliance Group would want to do something like this. I mean, there's every reason why they would like, because they're in this business, they'd like to expand their network. But why would the State Bank of India use this model? Is it because, it doesn't want to, employ more people, doesn't want to reach out to larger numbers of people? Is it that it doesn't see this whole business correspondent model or banking correspondent model as an attractive commercial proposition? At the end of the day, it's raised more questions than provided answers.
Absolutely, and as far as the Reliance group goes, every time the company does something, and it does something that is, the scale at which the company operates is of course that huge. So are we reading too much into it, Asha, or do you think it's just regular business practice for any other company trying to do as much as it can for its stakeholders?
Actually, Ishan, from what has come out in the media, and there's scanty details which have come out, and as Paranjoy said, picture is not really very clear. What is the motive behind all this? The thing is that, yes, there is a need for banks to expand. There is a need for, as Paranjoy said, 40% of the population not covered by banking services, or they don't have faith in banking services. They better put their money under the, in the soil, then go to a bank and deposit, because there is a trust deficit between those people and the conventional banking facilities. But I'm sure if Reliance is tying up with them, which sure they are, this is a newspaper which carries a lot of reputation. This news has to be by and large correct. It is true. It is true. So if they have joined hands with them, are they making a foray into these areas, say rural areas? That cannot be intention of a profit-making company. Reliance or any other company, corporate company, is known for making profit. They are there to make money. Everything is so fishy about it. Why are they tying up with SBI? Is it because it's already a ready-made platform for Reliance Money to expand their business? But why is SBI tying up with them? SBI is a very well-performing bank. People have faith in it. People have trust in this. There are a lot of people I know personally who don't like to bank with a private sector bank. They have more faith in SBI or these nationalized banks. So with that kind of relationship they have with the customers, is Reliance Money going to use the goodwill that SBI enjoys with its customers to further its business? So more details have to come out of it, and authoritative voices have to speak on this, say from Reliance or we have to know the entire relationship between what has been worked out, the blueprint of the
Right.
relationship they are going to have between SBI and Reliance to actually understand why this tie up. Otherwise, to an ordinary consumer like me, a person who would like to bank with a well-known bank and with a trustworthy bank, I feel somewhat scared. Why is a
But I
corporate
think
house
Reliance
coming
is
in?
also one of the most trusted brands in India as
Sure
well.
they are,
I
sure
mean,
they are. But I have not seen them in
alright.
banking. That's what I'm saying.
All right, fair
As a
enough.
consumer, I'm saying.
Fair enough. But I'd like to just remind all of viewers and tell you that we invited people from Reliance Money and we were in touch with their corporate communications team, and they said that they would be participating in this discussion, but they did not send a representative, neither did the State Bank of India. So if you are watching it right now and you represent either of these institutions, please do come in. We'd like to have an open, honest conversation about it. There are no allegations being made over here, but just a lot of questions that have been raised, especially by some bank employees. Mr. KV Prasad joins us from Kochi. And so how are employees of the bank taking this? Because I believe there were a lot of murmurs of what is happening with one of the biggest institutions as far as banking is concerned.
Yeah, in fact, this is not a concern confined to the employees alone. In fact, the concern has already been expressed by the people at large, different segments of the society. See, first of all, the most important question is why SBI is resorting to the help of Reliance. See, because first of all, what's the concept of financial inclusion? RBI has issued very clear-cut guidelines regarding financial inclusion. The main purpose of financial inclusion is to bring the marginalized people, particularly those who are residing in distant remote parts of the country, to the mainstream of the economy. That's the main intention behind the concept of financial inclusion. That being the case, the important question that comes to my mind is, what qualifies Reliance to undertake this particular task? Why? Because Reliance, as we all of us know, they do not have any known exposure to this kind of activity. And so itself, this is a dubious one. Secondly, the concept, as far as RBI paper goes, the concept is that the bank should resort to the help of ex-military people, then for ex-bank employees, and then self-help groups and all, in order to accomplish this task of financial. And again, this is meant to be, by and large, a localized affair. But here, what happens is that the whole concept has been converted into a corporate affair. One corporate is entering into a deal that covers the whole country, and thus the very concept of financial inclusion, which is meant to be a localized affair, which is meant to bring the marginalized segments into the mainstream of the economy, that has been converted into a corporate business model. And another question is the present status of Reliance Money regarding the application for a new bank license submitted by them. As all of us know, they had submitted an application for a new bank license. Out of those 25 applicants, the Reserve Bank has provisionally selected two groups, namely Bandhan and IDFC. But the Reserve Bank has clearly stated that the other applications remain pending. They have not yet been rejected. And in fact, RBI they have undertaken a very comprehensive exercise to redraw the concept of bank license.
Right.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, I just want to ask you a question. So go ahead, quickly conclude your statement, then I'll put my question.
Pardon?
No, conclude your statement, then I'll ask the question. Sorry for interrupting you.
So, now coming to the employee side. Of course, employees are concerned because their very survival is at stake. In State Bank of India, the total strength as of now is 2,21,000. If this model is worked out, what's going to happen? Near about 80 to 90% of the existing small segment customers of the State Bank of India, they will be converted into Reliance customers. Means they will have to approach the Reliance kiosks to undertake their banking transactions. They are not required to visit State Bank of India anymore to undertake their transactions. This will definitely render a vast chunk of the SBI employees redundant. They will not be required. Moreover, in the near future, in fact, State Bank of India chairperson has already announced that they do not propose to make any new appointments in the near future. So what's at stake is the potential job opportunities in State Bank of India. Another major concern, as far as the employees are concerned, is about the likely impact of this agreement on other banks. As I told you earlier, this has already been projected as a successful business model, a very lucrative business model for the rest of the corporates. And definitely, they will start working out on their own to canvass the business of other public sector banks. So eventually, we people are really afraid that this is going to be a corporate affair between the corporates in the country and the public sector banks. So ultimately, this will lead to sort of an attack against a virtual attack against the survival of the public sector banks. We are really concerned about that. That's in fact the most important apprehension the employees nurture regarding this particular move.
We also spoke to Mr. G.P. Sharma. He's the Vice President of the All India Bank Employees Association, and this is what he had to say about this entire matter.
We are against the outsourcing of job of banks because that first thing affects the job opportunities in the bank. Second thing, in this case particularly, you may be aware that Reliance has already applied for license for bank. And till now, RBI did not take any decision whether to grant license to these industrial houses or not. And there is some, we have just believed that some differences are also in the government and the Reserve Bank of India. And till date, this Reliance company is not, so this is a backdoor entry of a Reliance into the state bank. The complete data will be available to them, those who come to the bank for this through them. And tomorrow they may, all this data, they can use it for their purposes. That is also there. And another thing, we also believe that till date there is an existing clause that you cannot disclose the bank's business transactions of a customer to any outside agency or outside person. So when they are doing all these things, so everything will be known to them, but natural, because these customers will be coming through them, they will be monitoring, processing, and everything they will be doing. So naturally that also will be exposed, and they will be knowing it, so it will be contrary to these existing norms.
So quite important points made over there as far as the employees are concerned, their concerns. But what many people, Paranjay, would say that at the end of the day, it's a company, it's a bank that has often been accused of being too government, so to say. Of being
No. State Bank of India is a government, it's a nationalized
No, in
bank.
the sense, in the convention of just the government office, you don't get
Or
the
culture
banking
wise.
services. For example, the services of other private sector bank compared to SBI, in terms of the gamut of services, in terms of delivery. So a Reliance coming in would just help matters. I mean, wouldn't that? That is the kind of.
I'm not so sure that this comparison that you're making is an appropriate one.
Right.
What we are here saying, that here is Reliance Money Infrastructure, which is going to provide you a whole range of services and new services, which the State Bank would not. Now these products could include no frill savings bank account, as I mentioned, bank accounts through a kiosk banking model, home loans, loans against property, auto loans, gold loans, loans to small and medium enterprises, general purpose credit cards, Kisan credit card, current accounts, savings bank account, etc., term deposit, recurring deposit, mutual fund. The question is why isn't the State Bank of India doing this on its own? This is something I've not been able to understand. Now, what we've seen in large parts of India, when the banking sector or the traditional banks could not expand adequately, you had you had microfinance institutions and self-help groups entering. Now, again, what happened, many of these microfinance institutions, they turned out to be no different. They were worse, in fact,
The
than
Kubers and the Saharas
than
of the
the money lenders, the Mahajans, the traditional money lenders. So the question that we are asking is, we still haven't been able to put together a law in place. Now the law, if you have a proper law that protects all customers from financial intermediaries, that's what matters. It's not the bank, but the financial intermediaries. You see, this is where we haven't had a situation. We saw what happened in Andhra Pradesh. The Andhra Pradesh government had to intervene to enact a new law. Now, the issue is, look at this. I'm here going by this article, and it says the agreement binds Reliance Money to the Fair Practices Code for Lending, as also its own code for collection of dues. In the absence of such a code, it should abide by the Indian Banks Association Code for collection of dues and repossession of security. Further, that it is essential that the service provider refrains from action that could damage the integrity and reputation of the bank. It shall not resort to intimidation or harassment of any kind, either verbal or physical, against any person in debt collection efforts, including making threatening or anonymous phone calls or making false and misleading representations. The service provider shall also adhere to the performance standards in respect of services and products set by the bank, and will be entitled to inspect and audit records maintained by the service provider, and persons authorized by the Reserve Bank of India shall have the right to obtain copies and records of information in possession of the service provider. All very fine. Now, who's going to implement? Who's going to enforce these rules?
Right.
You're dealing with customers who are poor, who are scattered across the country, who are in rural areas. What is it? Is it that the State Bank of India wants more accounts? Okay, it wants, even if those accounts have small amounts of money, but it doesn't want those people to come into their branches, correct? Now, is this then the way forward? How are you going to ensure that these people who are in far-flung places, they are not exploited? We've seen dozens of cases of not just local money lenders and Mahajans. In Bengal, you've had the Sarada group, you have controversial groups, you've had Sahara group, you have all kinds of agencies, so-called residential non-banking financial companies and non-banking financial companies, who are able to, in the name of financial inclusion, end up, exploiting ordinary people, gullible people who do not know the rules. Now, how would you ensure that you have in place? It's all very fine to say that this is what the agreement specifies. How are you going to enforce these agreements? This is the point I want to make. For the State Bank of India, it's all very fine. It's seeing that it's complying.
On paper, it's compliant, but
Yes.
in implementation,
And it's trying to reduce its compliance costs by outsourcing all these activities.
Is it
to
a
the bank.
necessity? Is it a necessity? Let's establish that. Is it necessary for the SBI to outsource very core function of the last mile?
Why can't,
that is the last mile connectivity with the bank.
What
that
is,
is
what
being
is
outsourced.
preventing the SBI from expanding? Is it because it sees these activities as catering to the poor as unprofitable? So is it because it's saddled with, huge non-performing assets given to big businesses and big industrialists? I mean, it's all very fine to talk about financial inclusion. It's a far, far difficult task to actually implement it.
Right.
We've had committees galore, including a committee that was headed by the present governor of the Reserve Bank of India, Dr. Raghuram Rajan. It's all very fine to put it on paper, but to practice it on the ground is it's a different ball game altogether. It requires dedication, it requires sincerity. Look, ever since the banking system in this country has been nationalized, and we are here talking about a long time ago, the late 60s, early 70s, that process started. Since the early 70s, although much of India's banking system has been nationalized, and scheduled commercial banks are supposed to lend 40% of their total adjusted net bank credit to what are called preferred and priority areas like agriculture, small manufacturing units, exports, and they're supposed to lend 18% of this total adjusted net bank credit to agriculture and allied services as a sub-target, horticulture, forestry, fishing. But the banks have not been diligently following the rules. You know, we see the
The
Reserve Bank.
license is given in the first place for these tasks. I mean, you get subsidies or you get many benefits because of that.
And you know,
I just want to get in,
I mean,
Parunjay, before you
just-
go ahead, I just want to get in a Facebook post that
Yes.
has come in. So Ananta Krishnan Vedanathan writes in, if you go through the press reports, it's a virtual selling by SBI to Reliance Son's equity stake. It's another game of PC. Need of the hour is unity among workers to oppose the indirect sale. So we'll figure out. I mean, this is like the word of mouth that is going around that, oh my God, Reliance is taking over the banking as well. And I mean, after we've seen with the power sector and the kind of allegations that were made by the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal of the Reliance's takeover. So there is a lot of fear mongering as well.
You see,
I mean, in
this-
terms
this-
of
this-
technicalities,
this-
I don't think this agreement is wrong in any case. Yes, Asha.
I think people in generally, you know, who don't know the nitty-gritties of what happens behind the scenes, these business deals, what is the actual meaning of this, generally people who just need a bank to go there and, you know, to get banking services, they're generally afraid of these kind of tie-ups. I'll tell you an example. As a consumer, I was using BSNL connection for a long time. It was not very good. They could have improved upon it, which they didn't do. Meanwhile, the private companies came. Now they're giving A-class service, but they're charging huge amounts of money from me, from other consumers. So I, as a consumer, am afraid, is this Reliance money coming into this sector, is it going to harm me in the long run? Right now, if they come, they'll say, madam, we'll come to your house, we'll deliver your passbook, we'll deliver your cash even. Momentarily, it will be good for me as a consumer, but from my experience of BSNL, I'm afraid whether that in the long run, that is going to harm me as a consumer, that is going to give more powers to you know, these companies to ultimately fleece a consumer like me. That is what I as a consumer am afraid of.
All right, I'll just come back to you, Paranjay, because but I just want to get in Mr. Prasad also. Prasad, as far you just heard the Facebook comment, and it's a call for indirect action. Is any action being planned? Just a simple answer on that one. Is any action being planned by SBI Employees Union or any other, or the All India Banking Employees Union or any other trade union to protest as far as this deal is concerned?
Yeah, in fact, the Center of Indian Trade Unions has already come out in the open, opposing this particular move. And of course, the different organizations of the employees in the banking sector, I mean, like the Bank Employees Federation of India, All India Bank Employees Association and all, they have already very strongly opposed this move. And in fact, a joint action is being contemplated. There is already an umbrella platform of all the bank employees, United Forum of Bank Unions. In fact, we people are trying to take up this particular issue with the United Forum, so that a very cohesive and collective stand can be taken on the matter and a joint action can be planned.
All right.
In fact, we people, yeah.
Right. So there's action being planned by bank employees. What do you have to say? Come right into us. IndiaPostLive.com is the name of the website. You can go there, log in and post your comments. Also use Twitter, hashtag IndiaPostLive, or use our Twitter handle at IndiaPostLive to join in this conversation. Paranjay, the point is that at the end of the day, it's an open banking transaction. I mean, it's an open deal almost. And it's, I mean, a lot of conjecture, a lot of fear mongering can happen.
There's not enough information known about this whole agreement. The first thing is, whatever has happened, we need, the State Bank of India should disclose what is the exact nature of this agreement.
Right.
That's the first thing that's recent. I think we need a debate on this subject. I don't think it's as simple as that. You know, what is the reason why this whole notion of a barefoot banker or banking correspondent or a business correspondent of a bank not taken off? There are a whole host of reasons. One very important reason is the whole commission structure. Has not been worked out. You expect a person literally go from one village to the other village in a remote area with a handheld device and collect small amounts of money. Somebody will give 10, somebody will give 50, somebody will give 100. What is the incentive structure? What is the commission structure that you're giving? Now, there's no unanimity yet. Now, these banks, they are, sort of looking at these, outsourcing this activity. But I think we need to have a set of guidelines. As I mentioned earlier, whether the customers are protected from financial intermediaries, the laws do not exist. We don't have a proper law on microfinance yet. There was a bill and the parliamentary committee has said, no, this is not adequate.
Right.
This whole issue of just because you have to comply with certain requirements and you want to say, okay, we are moving towards financial inclusion, it doesn't mean you have to just go headlong into a system where you don't know what are going to be the consequences. It's all very fine to say you don't do this, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, don't do this. But how do you actually enforce it? See what happened in Andhra Pradesh. These microfinance institutions ran amok. There was a company called SKS run by a person called Vikram Kula. It went under, because greed overtook and all kinds of shady deals happened. There was a huge amount of fudging of figures. I mean, so all these things, if you want to protect poor people, underprivileged people. You want them to be part of the banking system. You want financial inclusion. You want them to, you want them to be part of a system where you can roll out your direct benefits to them, direct benefits transfer. You want them to use the Aadhaar card. Then you have to get your act together. You have to put it together. And the State Bank of India should tell us why it's doing it the way it is, what is the exact nature of this agreement with Reliance, and how they hope to gain.
See, but what I think what Reliance would say, if it was any other company, people would not have had this kind of an objection. If it was any other company, just the fact that it's Reliance, just the fact that Arvind Kejriwal has been making a whole
one minute, Ishan, it could be that there could be complaints. How would those complaints be addressed? How would those complaints be redressed? Suppose you receive money. Are you going to put it back into the banking system? Are you going to hold on it? Are you going to be allowed to play around with it? All these issues, I think there's far greater, there's not enough clarity on these issues. I think we need clarity on these issues.
All right, I think we'll have to agree on that one, that we certainly need clarity on these issues. And we'll wrap up the conversation. Mr. Prasad, final comments from you as far as the Reliance SBI deal is concerned. You said the employees are planning action. Your final comments, sir, on this conversation.
Can you please repeat? It's not.
I was saying the final comment on this conversation. You've already told us that you're contemplating action as far as this deal goes, but final comments from you.
Yeah, Sanjay, the crux of the matter is that this particular agreement is not going to help State Bank of India in any way to promote their business and reach out to the masses. On the contrary, we people are really afraid that this is sort of a roundabout way from the part of the Reliance Group to snatch away a large chunk of the State Bank customers. Why? Because first of all, Reliance do not have any kind of exposure to this particular activity, and their application for a bank license is still pending. And again, as I told you earlier, the business correspondent model, what's envisaged is entirely different. It's highly localized. It does not offer any scope for sort of a corporate business model. But here, this sacred concept is being diverted by the corporates in order to promote their own interest. And we are really afraid that this is going to be promoted as a very lucrative corporate model, a corporate business model in the near future for the rest of the public sector banks as well. In short, if we allow this to go like this, naturally that will spell doom for the entire public sector banking industry in the country. That's the reason why we have decided to take up this as a big issue, not only at the bank level, but at the apex trading level all over the country.
All right. Thanks very much, Mr. Prasad, for coming in with your points of view. Asha, final word to you as far as this deal is concerned.
I'll just try to sum up this by saying, actually what Mr. Prasad was saying, that it should not have come from above. If you look for the people of welfare of people, it should have probably come, the idea should have come from down. The solution to the problem this business model is trying to cater to should have come from below. So that is one point I like. Another point, I think that, as Mr. Paranjay said, There should have been more debate on this new experiment. It's in a way a new business model. It's an experiment
Right.
about it concerns our economy and it concerns welfare of people. So it should have been debated very openly so that all stakeholders knew. I'm sure they know what they are into, but the people who are going to be affected, they would know what it means for them.
All right, Paran, just a final word, but I'd just like to add, just for our viewers, just for their understanding, how well has Reliance Money done as a company in terms of these product services? Have they been part of this entire gamut of banking services? They've applied for a bank license and
But
they have
as has been pointed out, they haven't yet got a banking license on this, though they have applied for one. See, we don't know what the experience is. As has been rightly pointed out, whether Reliance Money will be able to do this kind of a job, which no, it's untested. What was what was the process through which Reliance Money was appointed? I mean, was there open competitive bidding, and was there some sort of a criteria used to select this particular company? These are issues on which we don't know. I mean, we don't have enough information, and I think, you know, before such a decision is taken, there has to be greater transparency, greater public debate, because at the end of the day, I don't think this kind of agreement would really help lead to greater financial inclusion. I mean, if indeed Reliance wants to do this business, there must be a reason why State Bank of India doesn't want to do it. If it is profitable for Reliance, why isn't State Bank doing it? I mean, at the end of the day, it's a nationalized bank. It is supposed to be concerned about spreading the whole banking system to the underprivileged section, those who don't have it. So I think all these issues need to be discussed and debated thoroughly. And personally, I don't think, there's too many questions left unanswered, including why was the deal concluded in February 25th, but made effective with retrospective effect from the 5th of October? I mean, why was this done? I mean, I don't know why.
I mean, from me, that would mean that Reliance Money is already doing the last mile function for them. I mean,
Yeah, but you haven't informed the people at large that somebody is already doing that. You have outsourced all these functions.
All right, so many questions do remain, and we'll have to wrap up on that, because we expected somebody from Reliance Money or SBI to come in and talk to us about it. But I promise you that the moment they decide to, we'll do the show again. We'll call all our panelists over here and we'll have a debate. We'll have those questions answered. In case you have any answers for those questions or have any other questions of your own, please do join us. The conversation is, of course, at India Post Live. Go to indiapostlive.com, post your comments and log in and post your comments there, or use Twitter at India Post Live is our Twitter handle, or use hashtag India Post Live. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Prasad, for coming, and Ashak for coming, and Paranjay. It was a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for all the gyan. On that note, we'll wrap up over here on this conversation, but as promised, the conversations continue on India Post Live.